What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Gmail041 channel. Back with a special guest, Geoff Lowe, this time in the flesh.
Yeah, had to make an appearance at least one time.
Very happy to have him here. This is going to be our sports talk. This is going to be a very, very long episode. We're going to be covering a bunch of different topics. First off, starting off, if you're seeing, I am wearing the Lakers snapback. We will start off with this topic. Dwight Howard. Wow. If you haven't been following the news or don't live in Los Angeles or anywhere that gets a radio,
even if you're not living in LA, Dwight Howard's the biggest sports story right now.
Dwight Howard,
maybe Andy Murray. Andy Murray won today, which is kind of cocool. But
broke the 77 years of losing for the British. Very happy for him. Congratulations.
I'm 50% British.
Oh yeah, congratulations, Geoff.
It's a big day, tennis.
Anyway, if you haven't been following the news, any news, not just sports news, this has been big news. Dwight Howard, of course, has left the Lakers. He's officially signed a 4-year deal with the Rockets. There is a 2-year exception, I think, in the 2015-16 season.
Yeah.
He can leave. Opt out. He can opt out and leave the Rockets if he wants to. This is for an LA person like me who loves the Lakers, this has been, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know I wanted the Lakers to get rid of Howard. I am so happy he is gone. I could not be happier.
I would agree. I'm glad he's gone because Dwight really didn't want. I don't think he wanted the pressure of playing in LA. I don't think he wanted the pressure of having his own team as well, which is part of the reason why he left for Houston. And he was asking Houston to get another superstar to go along with him and Harden because if something eventually goes wrong with Houston, you know, Dwight's going to get the blame, and he doesn't want that.
And that's the big problem I see with Dwight. And Shaq, did you read Shaq's comments yesterday?
I heard a little bit. I didn't really.
What Shaq basically said was, you know, this is a town of pressure. Mm-hmm. If you don't want pressure, don't come to LA. And I think Howard last year experienced that pressure. He said, that's fine. It's fine for him to leave LA and go to a little city like Houston because he's not going to feel as much pressure from everywhere.
I would agree. I think Dwight is kind of more of a small market guy. I mean, he grew up in Atlanta. He got drafted by Orlando. As much as he didn't like Orlando, he wasn't ready for LA. And LA is the second biggest media market in the world, and you got to be ready for it. It's not like Orlando where you can get rid of one reporter and everybody leaves. It's you get rid of one and there's still 100 to come get you. I don't think Dwight liked that at all about LA.
And here's the thing also about LA. We started out with the first great basketball player was a center by the name of George Mikan, who played for the Lakers.
Yep.
We moved on to Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem, even Vlade Divac at one point was a very good player.
No. Vlade Divac does not get a mention in the Ring of Honor of Great Lakers.
But then we moved on to a guy named Shaquille O'Neal. Even James Worthy could play center, and Magic even played center for one
in Game 6. Magic had the best game for a center.
Our legacy of big men for the Lakers is better than any other history besides maybe the Celtics with Bill Russell of big men.
They really only have Bill Russell, and then I mean you can give him Kevin Garnett, but still, I'll take the Laker big men over Bill Russell and Kevin Garnett any day of the week.
For Howard to look at that legacy and that is the most intimidating legacy because you have to live up to the first great NBA player, two of arguably the top 5 greatest NBA players, and Shaq you could even say is a top 5 greatest NBA player.
I would not say Shaq is a top 5.
He's a top 10 at least. He's in that discussion.
You can make an argument. I wouldn't agree with it, but you can make the argument for it.
For our generation, he was the most dominant.
For our generation, the most dominant player. Well, that's slowly changing with LeBron. I hate admitting it, but it's slowly changing. But yeah, Shaq is a very dominant player, and
you can't for Howard to look at that legacy, and then for him being drafted by Orlando, moving to LA, to have that immediate legacy of Shaquille O'Neal, who did the exact same thing.
I think he really had a problem with that because I don't think he liked Shaq. I mean, I know him and Shaq didn't like each other. You could tell.
Yeah, they never liked each other.
Shaq and Dwight never liked each other, and I think Dwight didn't like LA because he didn't want to be compared to Shaq, and Dwight just he's just a coward. That's really all. That's the only word for it. He's a coward. He's a coward. There are other 4 or 5 letter words I could use, but I won't. But he's a coward. That's as simple as it is. He's a coward, and you know what? He showed his true colors, especially because he unfollowed the Lakers on all their social media sites. I thought that was a really.
Did you see the
I
picture
thought
that Jody Meeks picked?
Jody Meeks had the
Jody Meeks, that was great.
And Kobe also posted the picture of him and Powell then going and unfollowing Dwight. It's another great thing, but still, Dwight just looks like a coward right now, and I've lost a lot of respect for Dwight. I lost a lot of respect with him last year with the whole getting out of Orlando and the whole opting out.
Yeah.
This just kind of adds to it, and I don't know, I can't stand him anymore.
I have a big problem with just how especially with Kobe's speech, because if you've heard anything about what Kobe said, Kobe basically told Dwight, I am not going to take it easy on you. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to tell you how it is. You sucked last year. If you want to learn how to be a winner, stay with this team, and I will teach you how to win and how to handle this pressure. If you don't want this pressure, get the hell off my team.
I would agree. Yeah, Kobe's a hard, he's a hard person to play with because Kobe does want to win. He wants to win that badly. He wants that. He wants that 6th ring, and Kobe went to 24 for a reason. It's one more than Jordan.
Yeah.
Kobe wants that. He wants to at least be tied with Jordan.
And it's just that playing with Kobe, like you just said, it's impossible almost to play with him because he is so ultra competitive like Jordan. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if he was playing against some 8th grade 5-foot kid who could barely make a jump shot. Kobe's going to absolutely destroy and demolish the kid. He wants to win. And if a player doesn't want or have that desire like Kobe has a big problem with that. And Dwight doesn't have that desire. Yeah. He's teaming up with a guy in Harden who is quickly becoming a very highly touted player in the NBA.
I don't think Harden and Howard are going to work. I think Harden's a little upset that well, I won't say upset, but I don't think Harden and Howard are going to mesh well. Because I think Harden wants all the touches and Howard wants all the touches, and I don't think that's going to work. And you still got to get touches to, Lynn's got to get his touches. And so,
well, from what I'm hearing, they are super shopping Lynn right now. Really? They are trying to get rid of him ASAP to clear way to try and make a trade for somebody else. I don't know who they're going to trade for, but from what I'm hearing, Jeremy Lin's name has been on every team. They've been calling every team trying to shop him.
It's going to be hard to get rid of Lynn. He's got that big contract that a lot of people really don't like, and I didn't think it wasn't a terrible contract for what they gave him. But another thing is Omer Ashik. Omer Ashik is not happy. He's pissed. He wants out of Houston.
He played well last year.
And Ashik he was 10-10. He was 10-10, and he got about 2 blocks a game. And Ashik knows his role, which is. I wouldn't mind having a guy like Ashik on the Lakers.
But one of the problems is with Ashik, you have to take
he's got a big contract.
He's got almost a max contract.
No, he doesn't. He's got a 3-year, $27 million contract.
He's got a big.
He's getting about $9 million a season, which, it's a little much for a defensive player. He's a defensive stopper, and that's all it is. But
so I want to ask you this: where do you see the Lakers going? Are you going to consider this year a rebuilding year in preparation for 2014 free agency?
I think they're going to make a run in the 2014 free agency. You got Carmelo, LeBron, Kevin Love will be up there. 3 names right there, and then plus this 2014 draft class. Paul George is another free agent who I'd love to see on the Lakers.
Oh, I would die.
I don't think Carmelo or LeBron will really come to the Lakers. But if you could go out and you get Paul George and you get Kevin Love, that's not a bad team. I love Kevin Love, and I hate admitting it because Kevin Love is a UCLA product, and he's a product of Lake O, which is a big deal up in Oregon. But Kevin Love is a hell of a player, and I'd love to have him on the Lakers. I mean, he's a guaranteed 20 and 15 every night.
But that's the thing,
and he can shoot threes.
The top prize is the Lakers could possibly get LeBron James. At worst, they're probably going to get Paul George, LeBron. I believe Paul George. I said possibly get LeBron. They're probably going to get Paul George. And Paul George is, I think, going to be incredible. He's going to be a superstar. He's a 6'10" shooting guard.
I think basically. Paul George is the next big thing. I mean, I've been saying it. I mean, I think Paul George and Chandler Parsons are the next big things in the NBA, and Kawhi Leonard. Those are the 3 guys who are going to come up. And I think if you can get one of those guys, and I think. George is the best out of those 3. You could be set for a long time.
Absolutely. I think we need to quickly touch on Brooklyn Nets and, more importantly, the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics, of course, traded Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Jason Terry to the Brooklyn Nets for basically crap. Chris Humphries and a couple pieces.
Humphries and Gerald Wallace.
Gerald Wallace, who is old and declining, and a couple draft picks. Basically, what the Nets have done they are stockpiling. But more importantly, what are the Boston Celtics doing? Because now we're also hearing they are actively shopping Rondo, especially to the Mavericks, who are very interested in acquiring Rajon Rondo's rights.
I think Boston's
doing?
I think Boston's making a run for Andrew Wiggins in 2014. They're stockpiling. They're stockpiling draft picks, and they're going to get either Andrew Wiggins or Jabari Parker, who are these two, super high school recruits who are coming out, and if you watch the Andrew Wiggins highlight tape, it is impressive.
Seventh Woods, though, is the better.
He's impressive, but it's gonna. And there's also a guy, Marcus Smart at Oklahoma State, who could have come out and would have been a lottery pick this year. He'll be a guaranteed lottery pick next year, and Marcus Smart could be a hell of a player too.
It's gonna be I'm very interested to see if the Celtics are even going to make any moves, because at this point, we have Rajon Rondo returning from an ACL tear. We have.
They really only have Jeff Green. They really only have Jeff Green.
That's it.
It's Jeff Green and Brandon Bass is a solid 4, but he's not gonna put people in the seats, and he's not gonna be.
Who's their center? Fab Melo or Sullinger?
We have Fab Melo and Sullinger, but they're both injury prone.
Yeah. So
Fab Melo is now the center, but I don't know who they have at who's their 2 guard now. Avery Bradley.
Avery Bradley's a pretty good player. I actually really like Bradley.
Bradley's good, but Bradley's not a franchise-changing. He's not a franchise-changing player.
And of course, they did hire Brad Stevens. I am very lenient.
I didn't get it.
I'm not sure about the decision.
I really like Brad Stevens. I don't see his coaching style translating to the NBA. I just don't see it.
It's not that I don't see it translating to the NBA, but he's going to be the coach of the Boston Celtics. They're going to get very antsy when that team is like 10 games under 500 and quickly declining because they do not have really anybody to go off. Rajon Rondo's a great player, but he's not a scorer.
Well, I think for Stevens, I think he's going to have. Everybody knows this year. Yeah. You can't really grade him on this year. He's not going to have a good team. You can't put this upcoming season as part of his resume. It's the year after that is where he's really going to be looked at. If he Stevens can go 24 and 52 or whatever this season but the following season if Stevens goes 20, if he only wins 20 games, he's in big trouble, and he maybe only gets half a season next year. But I'd like the move better for Stevens if he were to go to, say, from Butler to Indiana. It would make more sense, more of a hometown guy. Mm-hmm. He's from a very small market in Butler, and Indianapolis is not a very big market. Boston is. Boston is a big deal, especially for the NBA, and all Boston fans are diehard and will get on you if you're not winning. Moving
on, just very quickly. Gotta talk LA people here. We love LA. We live in LA. There is the phenomenon going in LA. Puig mania.
The Cuban Missile Crisis.
Puig. Oh my goodness. If you have not been following baseball or sports in general, this guy has come on, hitting over 400, hitting home runs, looks like a horse.
He's 6'4", 250. He's 250, a legit 250, and he
is an absolute monster.
Yep.
Yasiel Puig has lit up the baseball world. Of course, he didn't get elected to the All-Star game.
He can still get the fan vote, though, which I think he will. There's no way he's not going to get the fan vote. I can't see it. And if Puig isn't in the All-Star game, that is one of the great travesties in baseball. I don't care if he's only played, half of a season, so I guess a quarter of a season.
Yeah.
But he's the numbers he's put up. It is an exhibition game. People want to go out and watch the best players play, and Puig is one of the best players in the majors right now, and you have to put him in there. You have to. I don't understand all these arguments. Baseball is too much. Baseball needs to let go of the past. Replay will help. The fact that Major League Baseball doesn't have replay yet is an absolute joke. Because there have been so many blown calls in baseball, and it's just a joke. And Bud Selig, if Puig doesn't make it, it just looks bad all around, I think.
But I know we haven't been all on this earth for a long time, but everyone I have talked to has just said this is the most marvelous month of baseball they have ever seen. This kid,
44 hits, only 3 short of Mickey Mantle. Mantle had the most with 47.
This kid came into a situation with a team that was floundering, lifeless, dead. Batting was they couldn't get. Clayton Kershaw has an under 2 ERA and a 7-5 record.
Yeah.
That is insane to think about. That he's losing games because they can't even get 2 runs in. This kid comes in after Matt Kemp, who has been floundering, who hasn't done anything, goes down and has absolutely. It's like he's been in the major leagues and has been at his prime for years. It's
and Puig plays really hard and he makes a lot of mistakes, but he wins you games at the same time. You kind of put up with him making mistakes because Puig will make 3 mistakes, but sooner or later Puig will do something amazing and win the game for you. You just kind of put up with his talent or his kind of recklessness because you're going to win games.
Just today he tried to steal third base with 1 out and Hanley Ramirez up at the plate and got easily thrown out. But that's exactly what we're talking about. He makes a mistake, but you know what? He'll make up for it with these spectacular plays. He's slightly dangerous to put out there because his fielding range is absolutely incredible.
He's a little reckless in the field where he kind of doesn't know where he's kind of all over the place in the field, but he has a fucking cannon. I have not seen a right fielder with an arm like that since Ichiro, and it's insane. His arm is just. But again, insane.
He's 6'4", 250, legitimately
legit 245, 250. I mean, he's big.
He is, and it's not like Paul Bo Sandoval big. It's just pure muscle.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for the future with a guy like Yasiel Puig. Allegedly he's 22 years old. I'll never say.
I don't know. Yeah.
I'll never say as much as I hate to say it, and some people might say this is racism or something like that. With all of the controversy that we've seen over the past few years with players being, was it Fausto Carmona or?
Fausto Carmona had a fake identity. Leo Nunez had a fake identity. Miguel Tejada forged his age at least 3 different times. Like, people are known to do this in baseball.
And especially coming from Cuba, we're not going to get his records.
Yeah.
The guy, if you guys don't know how they get people out of Cuba, you guys should really look it up. It's incredible. What basically happens, they go on a baseball trip, they don't come back from that baseball trip to Cuba. They literally get kidnapped in the middle of the night by people.
Yeah.
Literal kidnappers come and take them away from the team. It's very, very intense, and it's a very dangerous process. Yeah. But I remember when they signed him, I was like, why the heck are we signing some Cuban kid to a $42 million contract?
He's worth the money. He's worth the money through, 42 games so far? I mean,
he's earning his money.
He's earning his money right now.
But absolutely incredible. We're not going to touch on the Aaron Hernandez situation, by the way. Just so everybody knows, we will not touch on the fact that he has been alleged in now his 4th murder charge.
It's every day there's something new that comes out every day, and it's worse than the next day. It's one of the most amazing stories I think I've ever seen. It's our generation's OJ.
I think it's even worse than OJ.
And it's worse because he's killed more people.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But the problem is, it just keeps spiraling out of control. Every day, it's basically adding a new murder. It's not like a new petty charge onto it. Oh, he assaulted somebody, which he does have.
Which he does have an assault at a bar when he's 17.
Or there's a drug charge added. No, this is first degree, almost premeditated murder of people. Like, he stops a guy at a stoplight, shoots into the car, allegedly, goes over to make sure they're dead, puts one in each of their heads.
It's scary stuff. Like, I mean, I was told before, Hernandez is a real thug.
But there's a difference between.
I did not believe it, mainly because he was from Bristol, Connecticut, and I thought there's no way anybody from Bristol, Connecticut can be that hard. And shit, I'm wrong.
But and I had a conversation with people before about this. there's a difference between the gang life a lot of these NFL players live, like where they're going to get in trouble for drinking and drugs or something like that. There's a whole different side when their possible gang affiliations are leading to actual murders.
Yeah, it's
and on multiple if he's allegedly committing a murder for a Marquise Pouncey's chain when he is a freshman.
Well, I heard about him and Reggie Nelson. I mean, Reggie Nelson, both Nelson and Hernandez walked up to a car and just point blank shot two people. I mean, he's a I don't even know what to say. It's shocking at this point.
Again, this is going to be very long. I just want to briefly touch on the NFL. Of course, I haven't talked about it. Tim Tebow, Patriots, they signed. Of course, Hernandez is gone. Gronkowski's gone. Tebow time at tight end, baby. Tebow time at tight end. What do you think they're going to do with Tim Tebow?
I think Tim Tebow maybe gets a year and then he's cut. I don't even think if Hernandez wasn't locked up and Gronk was healthy, Tebow wouldn't even make it through training camp. I think it's a total. Look, I mean, I've gotten into big arguments. I'm not a Tebow fan,
and I am not a Tebow fan.
I hate Tebow. I think he's the most overrated player to probably ever come through one of the most overrated players to ever come through the NFL. And the fact that people still think he can be a starting quarterback is absolutely ludicrous. You cannot possibly be a starting quarterback and complete 2 passes in a game. You cannot complete less than 55%.
One of them was a touchdown, though.
One of them was whatever. It was like 2 for 8. You can't do that and be a starting quarterback. You absolutely cannot. And if Tim Tebow was a starting quarterback, he'd be a starting quarterback right now. There's a reason he's number 3 on the Patriots depth chart. He'd be a starter.
Well, I don't think the Patriots signed him at quarterback. This is the thing. The Patriots signed him as like what they're gonna. Have you seen Denard Robinson's listing, by the way, on the Jaguars media?
It's just athlete?
No, it's just OW, offensive weapon.
I did not see that.
They literally on their media guide just says OW, okay. offensive weapon. That is what Tebow is going to be, because they are going to line him. They're not going to line him up at quarterback. No. Anyone who thinks they're going to line him up at quarterback and do the Wildcat system, just go back last year and watch what happened with the Jets. They're not going to line him at Wildcat.
And also, you're really going to pull out Tom Brady for Tim Tebow? You're crazy if you're pulling out Brady for Tebow.
If Brady goes down, they have a guy named Ryan Mallett who's 6'7", 230 pounds and can throw the ball a mile and is very accurate.
Yeah.
And, at Arkansas, played under center, so he's not a spread quarterback. The guy is a really good talent, and he's going to be worth a lot of money.
He will be a lot of he's gonna someone's gonna break the bank for Ryan Mallett.
Tim Tebow is not a quarterback for the Patriots.
No.
He is going to be playing at running back, at fullback, at tight end. Well, I
don't know why people think Tebow can all of a sudden just go play like fullback or tight end. It's not like playing fullback or tight end are like easy things to do, and people make it seem like Tim Tebow can just go play anything. He can't just show up one day and just start playing tight end or fullback.
That's the thing.
It doesn't work like that.
I think they're going to work. That's what he's going to train at all training camp. I think tight end is going to be what they're going to train him at. He has football knowledge. Okay,
he has football knowledge, but the fact of the matter is Tim Tebow is a glorified punt protector. That's all he is. He's just a glorified special teamer. He's America's favorite special teams player. That's all it is. And I don't see why people still think Tebow can play quarterback in the NFL. We saw in the playoffs he had a great win against Pittsburgh, which by the way Ryan Clark didn't play in that game. Which somehow people always seem to forget. Okay, you see what happens when he plays against a real defense. And like the Patriots, he loses 44-13. Tebow's not a starter.
That is with a caveat, though. They had to play the Patriots twice. That was the second time they played the Patriots. The only reason I say that, Bill Belichick is a genius. People are criticizing the Patriots right now.
Jim Schwartz shut down Tim Tebow. Jim Schwartz is the furthest thing from a genius, and he shut him down.
But here's the thing, right now.
It's not like Tebow was like. Yeah, Tebow can be stopped.
Just to move it a little bit back to Bill Belichick. People are criticizing the Patriots and Bill Belichick right now for taking Aaron Hernandez or taking a chance on a guy like Chad Ochocinco or taking chances on some players. Look, if Aaron Hernandez is available in the 4th round of the NFL draft, I know he has character concerns. There are character concerns, and then there are potential murder concerns. No one thought this guy was a potential murderer.
Yeah, no one had any idea about Hernandez and murder. And Hernandez in the fourth, that was a steal for the Patriots.
Look, the Patriots picked up Chad Ochocinco
Pride of Oregon State
for like nothing. They picked him out for like a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
They didn't. People were criticizing the Patriots. Oh, they took all these chances. And there was a big article in the LA Times today on it. They're not taking chances. They're making smart deals. If you can get Chad Ochocinco for a 7th round pick, go ahead and get him.
Yeah.
You can get basically anything for a 7th round pick. Why not take a chance and see maybe the guy's got something left in the tank? Look, they traded for Randy Moss when everyone thought Randy Moss was dead and gone, and he broke the record for most touchdown catches in this season.
Randy Moss was a great deal.
Look, you got to look at this from a talent perspective. I understand that there are character concerns. If a guy's having assault charges in college, then maybe you have legitimate character concerns. Mm-hmm. What we knew about Aaron Hernandez was he liked to smoke weed, he liked to party.
A lot, and you know what? What do college kids do a lot? They like to burn and they like to party. That's what a lot of college kids do.
He's at Florida. He's a star athlete there. From all the reports, that's all we had.
You know what? If I was trapped in Gainesville, Florida, I'd probably do the same thing. There's not. I mean, come on, dude. It's Florida.
And
I mean, God's wasteland.
And we're about to move on to a Florida topic in a second here. But
Urban.
But
Coach Urban Meyer. CUM.
What a great man. But you know, you can't. There are no character concerns that pointed to Aaron Hernandez literally popping guys in the head.
Yeah. You can't take a player, no matter how good he is. I don't care if it's Jerry Rice. You can't take Jerry Rice if he's dumb and fools. You know, you can't do that. You can't.
But when the character concerns are, even freaking Dan Marino had character concerns because they allegedly said that he liked to smoke pot.
The whole pot smoking thing needs to stop. Okay, the whole, you know what? Kids are in college. They're gonna try smoking pot. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I have no problem. I have no problem if my team, the Seahawks, takes a kid who likes to burn. He's in college. As long as he's not doing it in the pros, I don't care. If he likes to burn,
even now, with some states legalizing marijuana, it's going to be even tougher
like
Colorado.
Seattle.
Yeah.
Seahawks and the Broncos, actually.
It's going to be very, very interesting. But character concerns are a big deal. I do not like to draft players with character concerns. But if a guy with that much talent is available for next to nothing in the 4th round, you go out and you take him.
Yeah.
Because you know what? His production on the field was incredible.
Yeah. Hernandez put up
and if you look at all the reports, they said, you know what? This guy is incredibly... Off the field, he may not be, but on the field, he's going to give you everything he has.
I mean, also, one of the big mistakes New England made was giving Hernandez that big extension.
Yeah.
After a year, I think you should have let him... Typically, you should just let him play out the contract. Yeah. Maybe in the final year, give him that extension. I would not have done it after one. That was one of the biggest problems they made.
Let's move on, and we just talked about this a second ago. Urban Meyer, great old Urban Meyer, rats out his former assistant coach at the University of Florida. There was an alleged secondary violation that Urban called the NCAA about. So there was this big recruit. He was a cornerback that they were both recruiting. This cornerback just recently came out with his top 5 list of schools. Ohio State happened to make that list of schools. Florida did not, because their assistant coach that they had recruiting the kid was basically put on temporary suspension by the university because there's alleged violations about him. So the university plays it safe and has to kind of say, you got to take a step back from the kid because there was alleged violations with him. It is so shady. Shady.
Herb is he's a shady guy. I never liked the way he left Florida. I thought that was I hate, or I shouldn't say the way he left. I didn't like the fact that he said, "Oh, I have all these big heart issues," you know.
And then the next day he's on ESPN.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to leave football. I got to get away from it. Then, you know, a week later he's in, you know, he's working for ESPN, and he's only gone for about 6 months, and then he's back coaching at Ohio State. I just don't like that. I think if you really do want to spend, you know, don't bullshit people and say, oh, I want to spend time with my kids, and then only go off for about 6 months. You don't do that. At least
don't go off for 1 season, then come back and say, oh, I'm ready.
And then now you're all ready to go because you get, you go to Ohio State. That was shady to me, and Urban Meyer has done some shady stuff, and
I have an alleged. I have a conspiracy theory about this, and I want you to hear
Urban Meyer
about the Urban Meyer leaving deal. And this is what my conspiracy theory says. This is almost like the Michael Jordan
retiring because Stern was going to kick him out. Stern was not going to.
No, it wasn't kicking him out. This was a suspension by Stern for a year for gambling.
If Stern was going to suspend him for a year, there's no way Stern was going to do that because Stern knew Michael Jordan was the NBA.
That's why he said, take a year off. I'll let you retire from basketball for a year, and then you can come back all glorious in your return. That is, and I have many people who I know who are in the know said that is exactly what happened. My alleged conspiracy is, did the NCAA possibly go to Urban Meyer because there are, if you haven't looked up the Florida conspiracy theory out there of everything that was covered up from failed drug tests for almost every big player at Florida to hiding assault charges, hiding all these arrests of players.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it's not a conspiracy. It's because Florida plays in the SEC, and the NCAA has a hard-on for the SEC. And I'm a Pac-12 guy. I'll admit it. There's cheating going on in the SEC, and if you don't think there's cheating going on in the SEC, you're blind. Okay. Auburn has been. I don't know how Auburn has not been caught yet.
Because here's why.
I don't get it.
Here's why. Because if one team snitches, they're all gone.
Yeah, they're all gone except for maybe. I don't even want to say except for Vanderbilt because I'm sure
Vanderbilt's
doing
even
some
gone.
sketchy stuff.
Shout out to D-Ward.
Yeah, I'm sure Vanderbilt's doing some sketchy stuff. Just the SEC is as dirty as can be. It is like the old SMU Pony Excess where everybody. I guess
it's not just covering up the crimes. It's not just taking. It's not just covering up crimes. It's players taking illegal benefits, players taking money, players being involved in some extremely shady activities. My alleged conspiracy says, did the NCAA come to Urban Meyer and say, we're going to suspend you for a year? Basically told him, you can take the year off, do whatever way you want. You have to get away from the game for 1 year because of everything that you've done. And he said, fine, I'll take a year off and then come back. Because Urban Meyer is a celebrated coach. He's as bad of a person as I think he is an absolutely fantastic.
Oh, he's a great football mind. As a person, he's a terrible person.
He's a great coach. He's an absolutely great coach. And a lot of people love him. And in Florida, he is basically God. Mm-hmm. At Ohio State right now, he is God.
Yeah. And you know what? But I gotta say, I got another bone to pick with the NCAA and the whole Oregon sanctions. Those aren't sanctions. You don't give a school three scholarships. A scholarship
what a shocker!
And you know what? Chip Kelly gets the worst of it, and Chip Kelly's in the NFL. That I was livid.
Yeah, Chip Kelly doesn't. Pissed. Yeah, but they can't touch Chip Kelly because you know what?
He's in the NFL.
He's gone. So. Oh yeah, Chip, we're gonna suspend you for basically the length of your Eagles contract that you're probably gonna be there for.
Chip cannot coach, and he can't coach college for the next 18 months, which does no good because over the next 18 months, Chip Kelly's gonna be in Philadelphia. I did not understand it. It made no sense.
You know what? When they hit SC with shit sanctions, they were actual sanctions. They crippled the football.
Crippled SC, and SC got screwed on that. The fact that Ohio State has not gotten nothing, and Miami hasn't got anything yet, and both those are 10 times worse than SC. And maybe that's SC bias. They are worse than SC.
I truly believe what SC did was bad. What they did to SC, I thought was maybe a little bit overkill.
I think the only reason why they went over the top is because SC said "fuck you" to the NCAA and didn't want to comply. That's why they went after SC. But you know what? How Miami has not gotten any sanctions yet
if SC gets basically crippled, Miami deserves
the death penalty.
If the NCAA's rulings are so arbitrary,
they're too inconsistent, and that is my biggest problem with the NCAA. They're too inconsistent with their punishments.
Basically,
and Mark Emmert needs to go. I can't stand Mark Emmert. I love Larry Scott, but and he's a great commissioner for the Pac-12. But Larry Scott needs to be running. He needs to be running the NCAA because he'd fix it. Larry Scott he was the best thing to ever happen to the Pac-12, and he would fix the
Gets
NCAA.
us a Pac-12 network.
Mm-hmm.
Gets us onto the media spotlight. Gets everything going. Gets a Pac-12 tournament going.
Yeah.
He has really jump-started the Pac-12.
Yeah, Larry Scott was the best thing to happen to the Pac-12, and he would fix the NCAA.
I'm not sure if you can. What you're basically trying to fix is basically you're basically saying you have to fix FIFA. Both organizations are almost exactly the same,
Corrupt,
and that they are two of the most amoral organizations in the world. There is still, and if you've ever watched Blue Mountain State, which I wish was still on the air, it's one of my favorite football shows. With the NCAA, there's a scene in it where they're meeting in front of the NCAA investigators, and one of the guys, Alex Moran, gets asked about, did they give you cream cheese with your bagel?
Yeah.
That is an actual NCAA violation. If you look it up in the book, it does actually state that it would be an improper benefit if they were to give you an add-on like cream cheese with the bagel.
That's so stupid. It is so stupid.
And again, this is really long. I'm sorry. This is a big... We're talking about sports. We love this. This is what we do.
I love sport, yeah.
But... another thing that I have a big problem with is athletes deserve to be paid. I am truly behind that. And because here's the problem. There is a pay scale in place, but what the pay scale does not reflect is the cost of living in certain areas.
Yeah.
Let us take, for example, Manhattan, Kansas, where Kansas State is. The price of living in Manhattan, Kansas, and getting an apartment in Manhattan, Kansas, and trying to get one at, say, UCLA in Westwood is a huge difference.
Even this, you go to TCU, I go to Oregon State. Corvallis, Oregon, the cost of living in Corvallis, Oregon, I will guarantee is so much cheaper than Fort Worth, Texas. And to basically say every college is the exact same, and you're getting paid nothing. Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge fan of the Fab Five documentary. I love that documentary. I think it was a great documentary done by ESPN. There's a scene in it, and Jalen Rose has talked about it a lot, where they go to buy food. And they're in a shop at a taco stand, and they can't buy food because they have no money. And Chris Webber looks across the street, and he sees a shop. And he goes over, and they have all their jerseys for $50 being sold there, and their shoes and all their merchandise. And he just goes, how fucked up is this? I can't even buy tacos, but they're making $50 every time they sell that jersey. How messed up is that? Yeah.
And it truly is. Because these players are getting money. The university is making money off the players. And the players are never going to see a return on any of their money. John Manziel, as much as I hate him, and we could talk about him in a second.
Manziel, I don't know about Manziel. I think there's some shady... I know Manziel does come from some money, which can make sense, but I think there's a little something under the table for Manziel.
We'll talk about it, as I call him, the douchebag, in a second.
I wouldn't call him the douchebag. But
if you've seen anything he's posted on Twitter, I hate A&M. Walk a mile in my shoes. I can't go to class because I'm too famous at A&M.
That is pretty bad.
Tim Tebow went to class, and he won 2 Heismans at Florida. Tim Tebow was everywhere at Florida. You didn't hear him complaining. Cam Newton went back to school at Auburn this year.
Vince Young, actually. Vince Young went back to school at Texas.
But Cam Newton's still in the NFL. He's one of the hottest players ever out of Auburn. He comes back. Everyone loves him. He's going to school. He's attending classes right now. He's attending classes during the school year. You can't tell me that you are too famous to go to classes at a university.
Johnny Football sometimes needs to pick his words a little better, and that's all it is. One thing that I find weird that no one ever talks about Manziel is Manziel got arrested his freshman year. No one talks about his assault charge, which I find rather odd that no one talks about it. I mean, I'm not going to hold that against him, but it's a little weird that no one ever talks about Manziel and his assault charge.
He parties. In my opinion, he actually parties a little bit too hard. Look, if you are the star quarterback at a university and you are college football's darling child...
No, if I were him, I'd be doing the same.
I know. But you can't be posting every single picture of you drinking at the club.
I would not post it drinking. I'd be more discreet about that. But hell yeah, if I were him,
you're posting pictures at the club in downtown... College Station and you're in Dallas and you're holding all these bottles and you're drinking out of them and they're all over your Instagram and you go, why is everyone getting mad at me? Well, because you're 20 years old, you're not supposed to be doing that.
That you do not do. You've got to be a little smarter about that. But at the same time, he's a college kid. I think everybody in his position would do the same thing as Johnny Manziel.
Not
Just
Tim
be a
Tebow.
little...
Not Jesus H. Tebow.
Oh, whatever. Tebow's a completely different story, okay? I don't want to get started with Tebow. I mean...
But it's... The NCAA is a really screwed up organization.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone can fix it.
Larry Scott can. I have full faith in Larry Scott. I think Larry Scott could fix the NCAA.
What it needs to be
Mark
fixed...
Emmert needs to get out of there. By the way, he went to
What needs to be fixed
You double on this right there. Just LSU and you double on this. Just saying.
It's a ridiculous... The NCAA guidelines are ridiculous. Somebody needs to go in there and clean up the rules, number one.
Yeah, they do need to be revised.
Somebody needs to come in there and talk to those... basically clean house of everyone right now because, again, we've talked about it extensively. It's so morally corrupt what they do.
Yep.
And players need to get paid. It's absolutely absurd right now. Just talking a little bit about the NCAA upcoming season, do you have any favorites right now?
Ooh.
I am Pac-12. Let's just talk about the Pac-12.
Pac-12. Oh, God, I'm in love.
This is going to be a great season. I am in love. I think SC, and if you know me, I hate SC with a passion. SC is going to be. It's going to be in the South. SC versus UCLA, winner take all for the Pac-12 South.
Look, I love SC. I grew up in a diehard SC fan, but I don't see SC being any better than 7.
Wow.
I think Marquise Lee is a great player.
But he has no one to throw it to him.
I think Kiffin's going to go to Max Brown. I think he's going to latch on to Max Brown. But I think the team to watch in the South is Arizona State. No one's talking about Arizona State. Arizona State's going to be...
They are returning a lot of starters.
They're going to be so good. They're going to be... Will Sutton is just a man-child. And Taylor Kelly has another year in that system. I think Arizona State's going to be scary good.
I think UCLA is going to be...
I think UCLA is another team to watch out for. UCLA is going to be good. Anthony Barr coming off the edge. But the whole linebacker U thing needs to stop.
That does need to stop.
Even in LA, SC's a better linebacker school than UCLA.
Over the history
of the program.
I would say right now, UCLA has its top 4 linebackers that they've had in a long time.
I would say that. I think
Anthony Barr... If you haven't seen Anthony Barr... Ooh. Watch him because he's going to be the number 1 pick next year. I'm calling it right now. If he has the same season he had this year,
he's not going to be the number 1 pick.
You wouldn't draft a 6'4", 250
I'll take Clowney over him. I'll take
Clowney. Clowney's the number 1 pick. I forgot about that.
I would take Clowney over him. I would take Teddy Bridge. I think Teddy Bridgewater's going to go higher than him because somebody's going to get desperate. No, I'm not saying he's better, but I think somebody's going to get desperate. Somebody like Arizona is going to get desperate for a quarterback. Somebody like Arizona will take Teddy Bridgewater, or the Jets will take Teddy Bridgewater over Anthony Barr. Okay. And I think Marquise Lee is a better player than Anthony Barr.
I'll take Lee because we've seen. Okay, here's the thing: we've seen Barr in person and we've seen Lee in person. And I don't know if you remember this. We were playing Sarah in the passing league, or we were watching the game. They threw a pass, and everyone thought the ball was thrown 20 yards ahead of Marquise Lee, and that guy. I've never seen a man go from basically running to absolute jet speed in a second, in less than a second.
If you want to see how good Marquise Lee really is, watch the game tape of him against Arizona. He single-handedly keeps SC in the game against Arizona.
And from every UCLA person, our game plan for that game wasn't to limit the running game of SC.
No, stop Marquise Lee.
It wasn't to limit Matt Barkley. It wasn't to stop Marquise Lee. It was contain
Marquise.
Because you can watch even the UCLA tape. As Marquise Lee didn't have an overly spectacular game, but if you know football, anytime he touched the ball, UCLA freaked out. Because he is the type of player you throw a screen to on the outside, and he's one-on-one, and the next thing you know, that one guy is on the floor, and Marquise Lee is taking off for a touchdown.
Marquise Lee's first play from scrimmage last season against Hawaii was he caught a 5-yard out and turned it into a 75-yard touchdown.
He's an absolute freak of nature.
He's one of the best. And I truly think if USC would have been 10-2 or even 9-3, Marquise Lee he would have won the Heisman. I think he would have beat out Manziel. The only reason he didn't get
SC was
Because
terrible.
SC was 7-5.
They're
SC,
terrible.
and you know, if you're going to win the Heisman, you can't have 5 losses, which is really the thing. And
I actually thought he should have gotten more votes for the Heisman.
I think he finished 4th.
Because, again, we've seen him play, and I've seen him in person when he was at SC. He's not human. His speed is ungodly fast. I mean, if you've ever seen DeAnthony Thomas, we have.
Yeah.
Both of those guys, it doesn't make sense how a human runs that fast.
DeAnthony Thomas they both just run so smoothly. Like they're so smooth with when they run, and I'm not a big DeAnthony Thomas fan, but that's
because he's at Oregon.
That's because he's at Oregon, and I thought he was going to go to SC too, but he's so smooth with the way he runs.
Well,
he's just
they're alleged. There was alleged. Well, he was one of the players alleged in the whole Oregon thing.
I think he got paid.
The whole Oregon sanctions also involved DeAnthony Thomas because DeAnthony Thomas was involved with the same guy that got Oregon in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But he's fine. There's no suspension for DeAnthony.
It doesn't matter though for Oregon because Stanford's going to take the North.
You really think so?
I think Stanford's going to take the North, and I think
who's their quarterback? Because Nunez didn't he leave?
No, it's Kevin Hogan.
Because Nunez Nunez retired.
Nunez, I don't blame him. I mean, I still don't understand why Nunez got dropped. He only had 1 loss, but Hogan brings him a different element, and I think that Stanford defense is going to be. Stanford and Oregon State have the 2 best defenses. in the Pac-12. Sorry, not the country. Stanford has one of the best defenses in the country, though.
Stanford's defense is so old school.
Stanford's just old school in general, which I love. I think
Stanford's defense, if you haven't seen Stanford's defense, they are an absolute wall. You don't run against Stanford's defense. UCLA was the only team to get some yards in Stanford's defense, and that's because Jonathan Franklin had a guy like Xavier Suafilu, who is going to be a top pick this year at tackle or guard.
The mayor.
Jonathan Franklin could barely get yards against that defense, and he was the best running back in the Pac-12. They are an absolute nightmare front because they are big, they're strong, and they swarm. They're an absolute that nose tackle. I forget what his name is.
I forget too. I know who you're talking about, though.
He's about 320 pounds, and he is made in the same mold as Vince Wilfork. He's not going to have great stats, but I swear to God that you're not going to move him either.
It's going to be like Star Lotulelei last year.
I would say
Star is going to have like dominant stats.
Star
had
had
watch the game tape. Well, Star didn't have dominant stats.
I would say Star's more of a... He gets in there, though.
He does.
This guy just does this. 2 guys, I'm going to hold you right here. You 2 linebackers who are very good. Yeah, you 2. Go get them, and I'm just going to sit here and basically...
I can't wait to watch Stanford play, because I think Stanford's going to be a really good team, and Oregon goes to the farm this year.
So who do you think is going to be the Pac-12 South winner?
Oof. I think it's UCLA's to lose, but watch out for Arizona State.
I
really think it's UCLA's
I feel bad picking
lose.
UCLA just because I'm such a UCLA fan. People are going to go, oh, you're only picking them because you love them.
I really think it's UCLA's to lose.
I'm very excited to see the progression of Brett Hundley in his second season.
I think Hundley may be gone after this season. I think he may jump to the NFL.
It's going to be very interesting. I think he's a dark horse for the Heisman.
He's a dark. He's got to have. UCLA has to be undefeated, and he's got to have like an RG3 type season.
I gotta say though, it's going to be very interesting to see UCLA's secondary because they have nobody. They have no one left. Their one starter they brought back, Tevin McDonald, he had to
got
leave.
Suspended.
No,
he was kicked off. That's right.
The guy admitted, though, he made a lot of mistakes. Look, if you failed one drug test, that should be, and they come to you and say you failed it, that should be a clue. If you failed a second drug test, that should be a clue. If you failed a third one, then you should have really gotten a clue.
Look, I mean, nobody has the Honey Badger beat. He failed like 7, so.
Tevin,
like 7 or 10. Like,
Tevin failed, I think, 5 drug tests. And that's why UCLA said...
after the Honey Badger's record, I guess.
He got the 4th one, they suspended him for the bowl game. They said, this is ridiculous. You're gone.
Jesus.
And then they said, you have to clean up your act. He comes to spring training, gets busted again. They said, dude, you messed up. You're gone. And he at least admitted, he was gracious enough to not be mad about it. He said, I really effed up. I really, really screwed up.
Yeah, but I still think UCLA will be the team to beat in the South, and it's Oregon. It's Oregon and Stanford.
I worry about that ASU game. I really do.
It's Oregon and Stanford, and then I think Oregon State's a dark horse. I don't think Oregon State will win it, but I think they'll finish 3rd.
ASU scares the daylights out of me with UCLA's young secondary because they are going to be starting essentially 4 freshmen. They might be starting 4 true freshmen in the secondary. And as good as those true freshmen are, and they are very, very good, that scares me. Except for Ishmael Adams, who I love. 5'9", but he is tough.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this season because, I mean, obviously being a Beaver fan, How's
OSU going to be this year?
I think they're going to go 9-3,
Woo!
8-4. I think they're 3 losses because they're going to start the season off 6-0. They're gonna be 6-0, and then they're gonna have to play. Stanford comes to Oregon, comes to Corvallis, and I think that's where Stanford gets. I think Stanford gets them, and then their last half of the season is brutal.
Who's going to be the starting quarterback this year?
From what I've heard, it's Sean Mannion.
Is Mannion?
Mannion got voted. Mannion's going to be a redshirt junior, and Cody Vaz is a redshirt senior this year.
I'm a fan of Mannion.
I think Mannion's going to be the starter, and I said when I first got there, when I first watched Sean Mannion play, I said by Sean Mannion's junior or senior year, he will take the Beavers to the Rose Bowl. This season, I don't think it's going to happen, but next year, Oregon State goes to the Rose Bowl.
He can't move.
Doesn't matter. Oregon State runs a pro-style offense.
I'm going to say,
and Oregon State has one of the best O-lines in the Pac-12.
Michael Phillips is an incredible O-lineman.
You got Michael. Well, Oregon State return. I think they only replace their right tackle and left guard, and everybody else is coming back. Isaac Samalu is the best center in the country, and if you haven't watched Isaac Samalu play, you are missing out because he's the best center in the country.
Thing I think that Oregon State's going to miss is they're going to miss
their secondary. They're going to miss Poyer a lot.
They're going to miss Poyer, and they're going to miss who is the wide receiver?
They're not going to miss Wheaton that badly.
You really don't think so?
No, because Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks. I was going to say,
no one knows about.
Brandon Cooks is an absolute. He was going to go to UCLA. I'm very upset that UCLA did not get to keep them because
is so good.
That guy can run.
Mm-hmm.
He's short.
He's only 5'11". He's a small guy, but he's.
Is he 5'11"?
He's listed at 5'11".
Is he Allen Iverson listed at 5'11"?
I'd say he's probably like 5'9", maybe 5'8". I don't know, but he's listed at 5'11". He's got game breaking speed though, which is the biggest thing.
And very elusive.
Watch him against UCLA.
I was gonna say, just watch what he did against UCLA. He lit up Sheldon Price.
Yeah,
all day.
So did Marcus Wheaton. Wheaton lit up a lot of people last year, but I think Cooks will fill into that role very well. It's all about. Somebody's got to step up at the other receiver spot, and I think that's going to be Micah Hatfield. That's my guy, who I watched the spring game, and Micah Hatfield balled out. And no one's talking about him, but Micah Hatfield's my guy. I don't know. Obviously, he's not going to watch it, but Micah Hatfield, I got your back. You're my guy, Micah Hatfield. Anyway.
If anyone stayed this long, please put a comment.
Yeah. If you've gotten through this, I mean, it's 52 minutes, good for you.
It's just basically a podcast
at this point, yeah.
But
I think Oregon State will be better. I think as long as if we can beat the Huskies, I'm gonna be so happy if we can.
You want to beat John Miller and Matt Ostrom?
Matt Ostrom and Jeff Hawk. I mean, look, I have Husky ties. My dad went to Washington.
I was gonna say you're a big Washington guy.
UW fans, not John Miller and not all the guys from PV who went there. Washington fans are arrogant pricks. I have no problem saying that.
So they're a lot like SMU fans.
They're a lot like Oregon fans. Oregon fans and Washington fans are the exact same because Washington fans don't shut the hell up about how they won the 1991 national championship, which, by the way, no one ever talks about. There are multiple sanctions on that Husky team.
Rick Neuheisel!
That wasn't Neuheisel. That was.
I know. But Neuheisel got him in trouble.
Don James. Well, yeah, he got him in trouble later in 2000, which was a whole other story where Neuheisel, they were basically paying off cops in that 2001 season, which, again, no one really talks about.
Oh, yeah, another NBA deal we forgot to talk about. Josh Smith. What?
The Pistons.
What?
Yeah, I did not see the Pistons coming.
Who? Why would you sign with... I don't think he's not from Detroit as far as
he's from Atlanta.
I know.
Because him and Dwight played on the same AAU team.
What are you doing? Josh Smith, if you don't know, is one of my favorite players, along with J.R. Smith.
I think Josh Smith I think he's good. I don't think he's not as good as people say he is.
He's a great at what he does, which is
he's really good in
he's a really
2K.
good athlete.
He's really good in 2K. I mean, unstoppable in 2K.
He's one of my favorite 2K players.
He's impossible to stop.
Marcus Camby, greatest 2K player.
Personally, in 2K, my favorite player is Chris Mullin. I light it up with Chris Mullin.
If you haven't played me in 2K, you will know I will play Marcus Camby at center, and Marcus Camby will destroy you. I have hit, and I swear to God, over 10 half-court or beyond shots with Marcus Camby.
Why? How does Marcus Camby have...
I literally threw one to Jason Kidd in. Marcus Camby inbounded the ball, threw it to Jason Kidd. I passed it back to Marcus Camby. 1 second left. Threw it from full length, made it. I've done that 3 times with Marcus Camby.
Yeah, you can ask David Davis about Chris Mullin. I lit him up.
David Davis is terrible.
No, David Davis got better at 2K. I have to say. I put a whooping on him, but...
Dear David Davis, I've seen you in basketball. I don't believe Geoff.
No, okay, look, he can't hoop, but he can play basketball. He can play 2K. He can play 2K pretty well. I lit him up with Chris Mullin and Run TMC. That's all I'm going to...
Let's go back, though. This is one of the strangest signings I've seen. I really
Tyreek Evans to the New Orleans Pelicans didn't
let's talk about the Pelicans because the Pelicans are loading up right now.
They are they have Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday, Eric Gordon, Tyreek Evans,
and Anthony Davis.
That is
obviously keeping Nerlens Noel wouldn't have done anything, but I would have.
There, those 4 players, and if they could find maybe a Sheik. That might be a team that might want to look at a Sheik because he's a very good defensive stopper. If they somehow
the money though, I don't think they have the cap.
I don't think they have the money. But if they were willing to pay that luxury tax and sign a Sheik,
the problem is New Orleans doesn't have that funding anyway because New Orleans was just bought. I mean, they were very recently just sold, and they were owned by the league forever.
Not shady at all that they got the number 1 pick with only a 7% chance of getting the number 1 pick.
Right.
Cough, cough.
Right after the Bobcats only won 8 games, of course. David Stern. David Stern doing some shady shit.
David Stern is the shadiest character and one of the most beloved characters, I think, or hated characters.
I hate David Stern.
I love him just because he embraced controversy.
He's a troll. He's an absolute... He trolled people at the NBA draft. But Stern... The fact that Stern axed the Chris Paul deal was... That might have been one of my saddest days as a Laker fan. Because I was so excited to hear Chris Paul's coming, and then...
When was that? Our senior year of high school?
No, that was my freshman. It was freshman year of college. Because I remember being in the dorms. And in Oregon, there's a bunch of Portland Trailblazers fans. The second I found Chris Paul was coming, I went across the door and said, "Fuck you, we got Chris Paul." I had no problem saying that.
And the reason why I remember that is because I ran into my suite mate's room and went, "Yes, the Lakers are winning it all!"
Yeah, we get Chris Paul, and then what do you know? David Stern says no, and for anyone who doesn't think
David Stern either rigged most of the NBA draft lotteries,
he rigged the 85. He rigged the 85 lottery to give the Knicks the
New Orleans lottery. I actually truly believe he rigged the Cavaliers lottery just because they lost out on LeBron James. He said, "You lost LeBron. Here, as your consolation." Here, you can take Kyrie Irving.
Him and Dan Gilbert have a really weird relationship because
BFFs.
Dan Gilbert cries all the time to David Stern and gets his way. And that is one of the problems of being a Laker fan. And I know people are going to, if they're really watching 57 minutes in, they're probably going to say, "Oh, well, you're just being another arrogant Laker fan." No, you know what? All the owners ganged up on Jerry Buss because Jerry Buss was smart and knew how to get his team. People ganged up and said, "Oh no, Jerry Buss, he has all the money. You have to limit his money." So David Stern, put a salary cap in
because people it was in the best interest in the league.
That's stupid. It's because people
you weren't running the team. If you're going to tell this guy, run the team, and that guy says, "I want to make this deal, and I'm going to make this deal," let him make the deal. It was a better deal.
Yeah.
We lost a Lamar Odom who, at the time, was playing out of his mind.
He was coming off the 6th man of the year.
We lost Pau Gasol playing out of his mind.
Yeah. And we would have got Chris Paul, and I think New Orleans would have got Lamar Odom, and
Houston would have got Pau Gasol. And I think they each got draft picks also.
I think the Lakers are going to get Scola too.
Yeah.
Which actually
No. Scola was going to go down to New Orleans.
That's right. Scola would have gone to New Orleans. That would have worked out for everybody.
Look, they would have had 2 big men to build around. The Lakers had no big men. The only big man on the roster was freaking Jordan Hill.
And Bynum. We had Bynum back then.
Yeah, but Bynum was injured.
No, it was before Bynum got hurt.
But still, it was look, this is a great deal. Why would you axe it? Because it's in the best interest of the league. And then, if you don't know what I mean by the New Orleans Hornets getting the Anthony Davis lottery pick, what happened was New Orleans gets sold. They have a 7% chance of getting the number 1 pick. and they get the number 1 pick right after they just got sold.
Yeah.
It's basically like David Stern rewarding the Hornets for finally being sold.
And then good old Jim Rome asking the question of, well, everybody loves a good conspiracy.
Have you stopped beating your wife?
That was just a weird.
It's because you can't answer question.
It really is.
You can't say no because that means
it implies at one point in your life you did beat your wife.
If you say yes,
you say, oh, you're a woman beater.
And if you say no, that means you are beating your wife.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not going to dwell on the past. It's 2 years ago. I'm focusing on 2014 now.
2014. Only for 2014.
Just all the Lakers need to do: get the 7 seed in the West, fire D'Antoni, and then go get some free agents.
It's been long. We made it an hour. Anything else you want to talk about? Did you hear about the guy getting decapitated? The referee?
What? No.
There was a referee in a soccer match who made a bad call after getting decapitated.
Well, was
why soccer.
In Europe or what?
Yeah.
Oh,
not in the U.S.
Well, I know it's not the U.S.
I think it was either South America or
Who
Europe.
actually cares about the MLS? And if people are actually going to try and tell me, people are trying to tell me, I love MLS soccer.
This is why I kind of love soccer, because it is so insane. Could you imagine if Kawhi Leonard had missed that free throw, if he had literally had to fear for being shot on the street by a fan after he missed that free throw?
That would have been rough. But I'm
could
glad,
you imagine any sport in the U.S.
Hockey?
No, not even hockey.
Yeah, well, I guess Canada's not the U.S., but I mean, after the Canucks lost, they rioted.
Every time we win, we riot.
That's only in L.A. Really. I mean, I don't know any other city where you win a championship and you just had to riot.
I remember three-peat.
Well, I remember
I was burning.
I was in first grade. I went to Game 6, watched them beat the Pacers, and I was driving for the riots. That was scary, dude. In first grade.
But no, it's that. Could you imagine in any U.S. sport ever where an athlete's life, if a goalie were to miss, say Tim Thomas misses the puck and loses the game, that he is literally having to fear of being shot outside the stadium?
I wouldn't say there's I think there is that in the U.S. where people will now send you death threats on Twitter. I just don't think people act on them. Because, I mean, after Kyle Williams had that fumble, he received numerous death threats.
But I don't think they were going to act on it.
Exactly. But whereas in Europe and South America, they're actually crazy enough to act on it, where the U.S. we're crazy enough to go call people out and say, we'll kill you, but we're not going to act on that.
We're not actually...
So I guess we'll
cut off your head. We won't actually cut off
We're a little more civil than that.
Could you imagine if Ed Hockley made a bad call?
Well,
and after the
I wouldn't fuck with Ed Hockley, dude. Hockley's ripped. I wouldn't mess with him. I'm pretty sure Hockley, he could drop some fans. I'm pretty sure he could.
Hockley,
he's ripped. I mean, Hockley wears a medium for a reason. He wants to show off the gun show. There's a reason why.
If anyone else has been noticing, and I know this is really long, but still, have you noticed that the referees in football shirts are getting tighter and tighter, and the refs are getting buffer and buffer?
Yeah.
I think the refs are juicing. I think they need to start drug testing the ref.
We don't need to test refs. If they're juicing, let them go juice. I don't care. It's not going to affect their calls. As long as it's not like Tim Donaghy. Tim Donaghy. That's fine. We don't need another Tim Donaghy.
And this is for all
Sacramento's favorite official, by the way.
For all you kids out there, if you ever want to rig a game, rig basketball.
Yeah, basketball's easiest to rig, I think.
Because there's a foul. Casual fans don't realize this, and good fans of basketball know this. Basketball is the one sport where the ref can literally change everything about a game. They can take players out of games.
Oh, yeah.
They can put a team in a position to win. Sacramento and LA.
Hey, man, nothing happened. I swear. Swear to God, it was totally clean.
What? They were what? What was it, 8 calls? And
I think the Lakers shot 40-something free throws to Sacramento's 8.
How many? Didn't they shoot 20-something free throws
in the fourth quarter? Yeah, and Sacramento. I don't even think Sacramento might have shot 2. It was pretty bad.
Refs can make, especially in basketball. Football, it's a little bit harder to do. Basketball, you can, if a player you want to get out of a game, you can get that player out of a game if you're the ref.
Yeah.
Because more than likely, he's going to foul somebody on every possession. You can pick and choose when you want to call that foul.
That's true.
If a guy is backing down a player a little aggressively, you can call that an offensive foul. Now he's got 1. Say the player actually kind of swipes for a ball and maybe kind of touches him. There's 2.
Mm-hmm.
You can give him really ticky-tack fouls. take that player out of the game. Now that team that I just paid you off, or those people that are paying you to make sure that team wins, or you're making sure a team gets a certain amount of free throws so they get a certain amount of points by the end of the game to extend the score and to hit the over or the under or to get the betting lines.
It was Tim Donaghy and Tony Soprano. They're in it together, guys.
Rest in peace, James Gandolfini.
Great show, by the way.
I know.
I've been getting into it lately.
By the way, just before we leave here, Entourage. Can you wait for that movie?
Oh, I can't.
Entourage is one of our favorite shows. It was one of those shows we would come to football practice on Monday. In the locker room, we would discuss what happened.
Entourage is one of those shows where I can watch it. I can always watch it, and it'll never get sick to me. I've seen every episode probably 4 or 5 times, and it's just still it's as good as it was the first time I saw it.
Vince, drama,
Ari
Turtle.
For me. Ari Gold is my
favorite character.
All-time favorite character. Ari Gold.
I have to say though, you can't pick Ari. Ari is I think one of the greatest characters TV ever created.
Ari's
super foul mouth.
Yeah.
Lloyd, tell me what happened, or I'll intern you like it's 1942.
Yeah.
I'm not Japanese. Ari, speak.
Ari Gold's a great character. I really liked Ari, and I liked who's the trust fund baby.
Oh, trust fund baby. The guy who helped fund Medellin?
Yeah.
The drugged out guy?
He was funny to me. I thought he was really funny.
The drugged out guy
he was always super paranoid and always doing coke. He was really fun. I don't know. He was a funny character to me. And I loved Matt Damon's cameo. Matt Damon did a
Matt Damon's cameo is something of legend, where he's, especially that last scene of the season.
Yeah, where he's crying. Yeah.
And he's getting Bono to yell at Vince. He's getting LeBron to yell at
Drew Brees is in there. Yeah, that was. Yeah, but I cannot wait for the movie. Mark Wahlberg will be in there. Tom Brady had a great cameo too.
Tom was real. That's the thing about Entourage. The greatest cameo was Michael Phelps, where he is literally walking down the street, bumps into Michael Phelps. Yeah. You see Michael Phelps' face for 2 seconds, and that's the cameo.
Yeah. There were a lot of cameos like that though, because everybody wanted to be on Entourage. Chris Bosh had a cameo where he he talked
to have vodka.
Yeah, just said and that was it. And I mean, like Chris Bosh was in there. There were a lot of really big celebrity cameos at the end, which was made. Jordan Farmer had a cameo with Kevin Love,
where they stomped out Vince.
Yeah,
where he, Eminem, and
Jordan Farmer and Kevin Love were there. It was just so random. Great show though.
That movie, I cannot wait. Who is your favorite of the group? Mine has to be Turtle. I loved Turtle's character.
I liked them all. Turtle, it's hard to go against Turtle. I like Scott Conn too. His character.
Oh, he was good.
He was good. Scott Conn did a good job. There are so many different characters that were just so good in that show. And
go watch Entourage.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Entourage, you're missing out on something.
And I don't think anyone's going to hear that because I haven't said this long. And that's going to be it. Thank you. If you have watched it, you know what you should do? Just put this on a tab in your computer. Just put your headphones on and listen to it.
Yeah,
and
you don't really have to watch.
It's a podcast. This is basically our podcast. I'm just going to put it as a sport podcast.
There you go. Go for it.
Thank you all for watching. This has been your boy Connor Garrity with special guest Geoff Lowe on the G Money 041 channel. Comment on any of the just insane
content in there.
A lot of content. We talked NBA basketball. We talked NCAA football. We talked NFL. We talked even soccer. We talked about a multitude of things. And yeah, again, thank you all for watching. I'm going to have Jeff back before this summer ends.
I don't go back till like September.
So I don't go back till August. We're going to have him, and we're going to
preview. There'll be something to talk about.
Because they're going to hopefully release the top 25 soon for football. Ooh, we will break it down and discuss.
Wait.
And so when that happens, we will be there, and neither can I. Again, thank you all for watching. Put it on a tab, listen to it, podcast. Thank you. With that, we hit y'all with the peace.